Can't say how excited I am for this one. Gonna go ahead and put this down just a little bit. I think 75 everything. Except voice we'll put there. I think that's good. I like those settings there. Alright. I don't even know what to say. Just the state of this VN. It's happening. Arietta has broken up with us, and it hasn't been the happiest of events. With that being said, so we'll see what happens. There's just been so much going on, but now Chris is solo in the dating world. Piova's most eligible bachelor, and our depression meter has gone up. Good morning. Her voice was cheerful. This rehearsal I spent with Val. I had realized myself that I had become quite accustomed to this routine that had formed without even my knowing. The soothing, unique scent of the practice room. It was not only the scent, but the fact that I knew if I came here, she would be here, which soothed me. The guilt also came with it, became stronger. That letter never came, and that letter was never sent. Mondays were depressing. What's the matter? The looks on your face tells me you hate Mondays. I guess you could say that. We gave ourselves a well-deserved rest yesterday, did we not? I would say that helped. In that case, seeing my half-grimace in response, Val suddenly closed her mouth when she was preparing to ask me why. She had really good intuition, or maybe she was just plain smart. She may have already realized what was going on. Val knew that I had received that farewell letter from Ari 1 week ago. So, Val certainly thought that something bad had something had happened yesterday. In actuality, though, nothing happened. I didn't receive a letter, and I didn't write one either. But that's what cast an even heavier shadow up on my heart. Do you want to rehearse then? If you get absorbed in your practice, you'll forget everything, at least for a while. You don't think that'll work? No, you're right. Thanks. I've been sorry to make you worry over all these things recently. It's fine, and it's also a good opportunity to make you practice. Yes, I'm so lazy and I never do anything. Since you understand, okay, practice. We only have 5 more days until the recital. Spurring us on to practice, Val clapped her hands together as if to say, chop chop, just like my music room teacher did when I was a kid. I did as I was told, and I set up my fortelli and placed my finger on the keys. I opened my well-aged score to the first page and shifted my gaze to Val. Our eyes met, and we synchronized our breathing. We both sensed that the other was ready, and that was the sign to draw the very first note. Once we began performing, my hands moved on their own, smoothly, fluently. It wasn't that I was trying, but it felt like the music was outside of my consciousness and I was observing it from a distance. However, today I felt surrounded by something unlike my usual sense of elation, but heavy and heart-wrenching. It made me wish the music would never end. These powerful feelings became music, and it made my body and my heart tremble. These feelings grew larger as we reached the end, and along with that, the song came to an end. I knew everything was over. As if the consciousness that had been drawn to my body has returned, I was drawn back into reality by the sound of Falsita's voice. Oh God, Chris, yes? I really don't know what to say, but her gaze darted around the room as if she was hesitant, and then she continued with determination. The way you played today, it was amazing. Thank you. It was the praise from the heart, I suppose. Val looked at me with eyes that were moist. I don't like that word, moist. And even when I noticed this, she never averted her gaze. I wonder, what makes us so different? With that, she suddenly looked away and went silent with a look of sadness upon her face. What's the matter? What do you mean different? By singing in your fratelli. I think those two things have always been different, though. Not that. I feel there's something fundamentally different. We've talked about this before, though, right? There was something I was lacking. Well, yeah. I could feel that from your fratelli. I can't explain it, but I can feel it. I see. Something that I don't have, but something you do. She whispered, but to no one in particular. It was then I realized something so basic, so fundamental. I wonder if it's... I'm sure that's what it is. Magic. The magic they say that's needed to play the fortelli? Sorry, that was a ridiculous thing to say. I mean, it's obvious. Voice and fortelli are completely different. Do you wonder about magic? I tried to change the topic because I thought what I had said was just ridiculous. But Val cut me off with a question instead. Why do you wonder about magic? I learned about this in class, so of course I know that it hasn't been properly clarified, but what does it mean to you? Is there some kind of sensation that only Fortelli players can understand? No, I think that kind of thing is just, it's subconscious. In my case, there was a Fortelli at the music school that I happened to go to as a child, and it made a sound when I touched it. You didn't feel nothing special? I don't recall doing anything special. As for what I felt, who knows? So in the end, you don't really know. Seeing Val smile in a way that showed that she had given up, I started to feel like I had to say something. Should I talk about what I felt when performing with Forney, the groundless certainty that I had that magic was an emotion? Either way, it was an issue with no clear answer. I decided to talk about it, hoping that it might make Val feel even just a little better. There's an interesting theory about this one, one which I felt I could relate to. What kind of theory? The theory that magic is an emotion. One of the teachers talked about it as if it was just something to chat about. It's not in any of my textbooks. An emotion. I've heard this before. Anger, joy, sadness. The teacher spoke of it like it was one of these things. In that case, she closed her mouth again, showing that she had an idea of some sort, but then hid it. So there's just this theory, nothing more. Nothing more. And then I too recalled something. The day I could no longer feel that something which Val was lacking. It was a piece of a puzzle fitting into its place. She was troubled that day, and she was saddened. After a long-lasting silence, Val looked at me with an expression on her face I had never seen before. For a moment I straightened up at the sight of that expression. Do you feel sad? She probably identified correctly the emotion that had seeped into my Fortelli, in the same way I had sensed parting, that phony saying, no. Barely managing to lie, I took a step back to make the space between us, as if we were already sitting too close. As if she was pursuing me, she took a step forward. If I were, we were so close that we could feel each other's breath on our cheeks, and Val looked at me with glistening eyes. I knew that I shouldn't, but I couldn't move. If I was going to make the one to be one step forward, there would be no more going back. I was dismayed at myself, and I was starting to no longer think that this was a bad idea, but I was swayed by stronger emotions. Huh? Her eyes closed, and the distance between us grew smaller. My hand moved as if it had a mind of its own, and the moment that it did, it almost touched her cheek. We both murmured at the same moment, and Val's face then flushed red as she turned her eyes to the floor. Forget about what just happened. Nothing happened. Okay. Val hurriedly gathered up her score that had fallen and faced away from me as she brushed it off with her hand. I was stunned, unable to move. If her score hadn't fallen, I was sure I would have. Well then, we have until midday. Let's keep practicing. Sure. Are you hungry? Do you want to eat? I'm good now. Really? If you say so. The two of us were shaken by what had just happened, and we were not entirely focused during practice after we did that. I saw Val off from the hallways as she headed over to work, and even then my heart rate was higher than usual. I was unable to regain my collectedness. I felt hesitant to be conscious of, or even speak of these feelings that were brimming inside my heart. I unconsciously murmured the name of another girl and almost gasped as I remembered the content of her letter. Eri knew this was going to happen. But I think that someday the time will come when you understand your feelings for Falsita. When that time comes, if you could forgive me, even just quietly, I would be happy. Ah, man. It's January 17th. I had been feeling restless ever since what happened yesterday. If I opened the door in front of me, I would see her there. She would say good morning, she would smile. This would continue until graduation was done. I hadn't abandoned everything yet, so it was hard for me to honestly feel happy. But standing there in front of the practice room door and imagining who was there on the other side, my heart began to race. I couldn't resist feeling. I took a deep breath, put on a straight face, and opened the door. Morning. Saying this, I didn't get the response I had imagined, and I felt disappointed. She's not here? It was still 5 minutes, to be fair, but she was always earlier than I was. I decided to begin setting up my Fortelli before being asked to. I placed the pages of my score on my lap and put them back into order as they had gotten messed up in my bag and vividly recalled what happened yesterday. At that moment, if her score hadn't fallen, would I have actually kissed her? The answer was quite clear. It was just the result of coincidences overlapping in which there were no facts. My heart had already given the answer, so I continued to tell myself excuses. Eri had known me better than I knew myself. She exactly understood what was going to happen, and the answer she had found to this was to break up with me. At the end of her letter, she wrote to forgive her. Oh, good morning. Morning. It's rare for you to arrive after me. I was talking to Miss Cordell. She said she's doing one last checkup on all of her students since everything will be over after this week. She wants to listen to us play today. Why did she choose to tell you? Does she just not trust me? I just happened to be passing by. You had something to do over in the first hall? More or less, I just needed to help one of the teachers. Copying a score? Yep. At a time like this, it's just 5 pages. The volume isn't the problem, Falsita. I finished work earlier now, right? I have a little bit more time to spend on it before going to bed and it'll be done. Kinda feels like it defeats the purpose you have of your shift shortened. It's okay. They'll consider this all when they ask me and I'll trust I'll be okay. I can't tell if you're diligent or just... I was just born this way. I've given up fighting it. If you put it that way, there's nothing more for me to say, but I could have helped you. Really? I should have asked you to. Really? I've never said no to you in the past. That's true. Okay, I might ask you next time. Just say no to them next time. We both started laughing and I felt thankful from the bottom of my heart that I didn't turn awkward between us. Val's attitude didn't show any signs that she was forcing herself to not think about what happened yesterday. She seemed to have accepted it and she was smiling naturally. Our relationship had begun to change. I don't think I would try to avoid Val because of Arietta. I should just plain admit it. I had developed feelings for her. Oh, shoot. Well then, should we get straight down to business? Cordell was her usual self, concisely telling us only what she wanted to do. We had already rehearsed a little, so my body was feeling quite limber. I'm good to start at any time, as am I. Miss Cordell showed a slight expression of surprise towards my response, and then she smiled. Something the matter? I was just thinking those words were a rarity for you. Really? That rare? Normally you would have said something like I'm ready, more or less. I'm just teasing you, but it is true. Either way, why don't you begin? It wasn't like I was unaware of the change in my own mentality, but having it pointed out to my face made me want to retort. I truly am sorry. Now, if you do not start soon, it will put me in a difficult spot. I have a lot of students to check on. I had just heard one of the wonders of the world, an apology from Miss Cordell, and it also seemed like she really was in a difficult place, so I stopped being childish and I placed my fingers on the fortele. Alright, we mastered this song now. I'm going to try and go for like the full combo. I don't know if I'm going to be able to though. Oh no, no! Oh, wow, that was like the worst I've done in a while. I blame my keyboard. We finished performing for Miss Cordell and our ensemble had gone so well, even I was satisfied with it. I see now. She looked like she had something else to say, but Cordell said only this. Oh, it's nothing. In any case, our rehearsals were not over yet. When I turned around to look at Falsita, our gaze met as she was staring at me with the same expression that Miss Cordell had. Val? Yes? I wasn't asking you anything. Are you good? I'm fine. We should be ready to head home. I ended up going with the flow and nodded. Following her lead, I packed up my fratelli. Okay then, thank you very much for today. Thank you. You do not have any much time left. Make sure to make the most of it. We know. There should be no problem as long as you understand. Okay, okay. If you excuse us. Chris, Miss Cordell stopped me. Did something happen? A lot of things. I see. Very well. Okay then, that's right. Have you heard anything about Asano yet from his partner? He's next, actually. He found one. He does not have a lot of time left, but he should be okay. He's smart and he's flexible. Well, that's a relief to hear. If you excuse me. Is everything okay? She was standing in front of the door and it seemed like she was concerned why I came out late. Yeah, she just stopped to ask me something. What did she ask? If something had happened or not, that's all. Oh, it seems like you were in there such a long time for a simple question. I only asked her about Asano. Apparently he found himself a partner. It's gonna be Torta, guaranteed. Oh, I see. That's good to hear. Yeah. Oh, by the way, what are you doing today? What do you mean? Aren't we gonna keep practicing? I meant after that. Would you like to come over for dinner? I don't want to? I don't have any problem with that. It's decided then. Since we went to your place last time, do you want to eat at mine tonight? It doesn't matter to me either way. That's also decided. You want to finish up a little earlier? We probably shouldn't. That's not like you, but you're right. Dinner will taste better if we practice hard. If you say so? Can't help but raise an eyebrow at that first part. Val let out an honest laugh and we walked towards the practice rooms. Watching her as she walked ahead of me, I couldn't help but keep the feeling of happiness at bay. Wednesday the 18th. We're like 2 days out now. I woke up in the morning feeling good. Until yesterday I was afraid of admitting my feelings. Perhaps it was my imagination, but it seemed brighter than usual outside. The rain must have eased off. Yep, his meter's down a little lower. I stretched out while still on my bed and thought about yesterday. What lay beyond the admission of my feelings was Val's gentle smile. Oh, morning, you're up on time today. Oh, good morning. And you look refreshed. I just might be. What are you acting cool about? You're talking about yourself, you know. I know, but I do really feel good today. Oh, you just admitted it. Yeah, I did. I see. What's up? Never mind, it's nothing. Forny? It's nothing. She repeated herself and she smiled. It's a good thing. Much better than you looking gloomy all day. Have I really been gloomy recently? If anyone would know that, it would be me. I'm sorry. What about? About everything that's happened, everything that's going to happen. I didn't say Arietta's name, but Forny seemed to understand. Have you forgotten what she wrote in her letters? Do as you like. If that was my answer, then she probably would have been happy with it. I got it. No, I remember. Thank you. Thanking me won't help you much, though. Forny commented teasingly like this and then pointed at the clock. Since you've gotten up so early, why don't you go to school and get more practice in? Okay, I just might do that. You're really gonna go? Hey, it was your idea. I was trying to praise you. It had been a while since Forny and I chatted playfully. I had the feeling that today was gonna be a good day. I quickly got ready and went outside and found that it was comfortable out. The rain was light. Let's see how the depression meter affects. Well, I spelled the same. Just as I had felt earlier in the morning, everything went smoothly today. My fingers glided smoothly across the keys of my fratelli, and I even felt that I could hear every individual note. At times like this, time always passed quickly, and before I knew it, we had already played until lunchtime. However, Chris, are you feeling out of form? She asked me with a slightly mystified look. Was something different than usual? No, that's not what I meant. I don't think I made any particular mistakes, and I'm not in a bad form. I agree. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry, I might have just been imagining it. Really? I hope that's the case. I'm sorry for bringing it up. I wasn't even sure what I wanted to say. No, it's cool. Don't hesitate to point out anything that doesn't seem to be right. Okay, so why don't we practice one more time after I finish work? I said not to hesitate, but not in that way. The fact that we only have 2 more days left is weighing on me. I thought it was just a joke directed at me for not practicing enough, but she was very serious. I hurriedly corrected myself. Oh, if that's what you mean, then sure, I can practice anywhere. Really? Of course. But in return, you have to make me something nice to eat. If that's all you need. There's nothing I want more. Something is definitely wrong today. That was strange? Just a little. You're mean. Have you forgotten that you're the one who just said to point out anything that doesn't seem right? That's not what I meant. You have a point there. Val cracked up laughing, and I ended up laughing too. I never expected we'd have such a natural conversation. Things just might be good this way. I was satisfied with how they were. There were people who were saddened because of me, but in reality there was no way to make everything work out perfectly. There was no ideal way of doing things, only a best way. I searched my options, made a decision, and I did my best. Or I was trying to do my best. In that case, let's meet in front of the trattoria tomorrow when you finish your shift. I don't want them to confuse me for a customer. That's true, but if the rain gets heavier, you can wait inside. Alright, I'll see you then. See you later. We made our plans and then parted ways at the intersection between my place and the trattoria. I watched her walk till she was out of sight and I returned to my apartment. Oh, welcome back. You finished early today? It is Wednesday. I wiped the droplets of water out of my hair with the towel near the entrance of my apartment and I went inside. But even so, aren't you a little home early? Yeah, we're gonna rehearse again tonight. After Val finishes work? That's right. Wow, you've practically spending the whole day together with her. There's not much time left till the recital. And once it's over? What do you mean? Are things gonna change between you? Of course they'll change. I don't mean it like that. Then what do you mean? Is the way you spend time with her gonna change? I guess this is a strange way to put it, but we have no choice but to change. After we finish our recital, we won't rehearse together anymore. So that means you won't have anything to do together with each other? I'm not sure, but in the least, I don't think so. Good, that's what I wanted to hear. Why? I just had to know. You don't need to understand why. I can't help but feel curious if you put it like that. More importantly though, shouldn't you get some rest? Huh? Rest? I was just thinking maybe you should take a quick nap. Though, I think you'd nap even if I didn't suggest it to you. So rude. But I have been rehearsing all morning, so I do need some kind of rest. Even though Val is working right now. I'm kidding. Everyone has their own pace and you have yours. Sure. I'm gonna go to sleep for a little bit. Good night. You know, it is quite rare of you to suggest I take a nap. Why not? Isn't it nice for a change? Prompted by Forney, I took off my jacket and I laid on my bed. We'd been rehearsing constantly and it seemed as if I was considerably tired. After I buried my face in my pillow, I soon felt sleep come over me. I asked Forney to wake me up in 30 minutes before I had planned to meet Val and I passed out. You're sleeping well. Look at you, such a happy face. I felt like I could hear a voice in the distance, but I'm glad someone who will be with you. Now I don't have to worry? Forney? Oh, you're awake? Were you talking to me? No. Anyways, it's time you got up. Already? I got up in an attempt to shake off my sleepiness, but because I did that, she almost fell off my pillow. Oh, sorry. I rushed to support her balance. Don't get up so quickly. Sorry, but why were you sitting on my pillow? So I could wake you up. You always do it from afar. Some days I want to do it like this. Okay, what time is it? It's a little early. You were just planning to wake me up, right? I think you were doing something just then. I was just peeking at you while you slept. Why were you watching me sleep? Because I wanted to. It's not like I'll kill you. I have no idea where you learned to speak like that. Okay, time to get ready. Well, it would be rude to keep you waiting. I did as I was told and got ready to head out, but it was still a little early. I didn't want to get it wet if I could be helped, so I just needed to pass some more time. Gazing out the window, I checked how it was outside. The same as it was earlier, the rain light. I could have just left early as I probably wouldn't have much trouble finding shelter. Hey, it's still a little early. Are you going to go out already? That's the plan. If that's the case, could I ask you to do me a favor? A favor? As long as it's something ridiculous. You want me to take you with me, right? Nothing like that. Could you put me on your shoulder? Doesn't that mean you want me to take you out? No, it doesn't. Come on, let's go. Fine then. I did as she requested and I put her on my shoulder. Forney moved herself over into a position that was within her arm reach, and she began to chuckle softly. Hey, that tickles. Just bear it a little longer. I don't need to bear anything without good reason. Well, I have a very good reason. I suddenly felt like something touched my cheek. It was just for a split second, making my hair flutter. In the blink of an eye, Forney had floated down to the nearby table and was looking up at me. Okay, have a nice night. What did you just do? It's a secret. A secret. You know that I... Come on, get going. You're gonna be late. Just tell me when I get back. Sure. See ya. Weird. She was acting strange, but I left her home and I headed towards the trattoria. It was still a little early when I arrived in front of the coupé. The rain hadn't gotten any heavier, so I decided today I'd be waiting outside. After waiting like this for a few moments, the door opened and out came Val. Sorry to keep you. You could have just waited inside. It's not too bad out here. I looked up at the sky to check that the rain was still light. Oh, I see. But I wouldn't want you to get any wetter than you are, so let's go. Do you need to do any shopping? I bought everything I needed before my shift. I can start cooking as soon as we get back. Are you hungry? Pretty hungry, yeah. I didn't eat anything for lunch today. Good, I'm hungry too, so I'll start as soon as we get back. Great, can't wait. Being able to eat truly delicious food with the person that you want to eat it with just might be the stuff of true happiness. It was small and probably insignificant. A small happiness that for some people may have been laughable, but I'm sure for others, they would have also felt what I felt. I treasure the time we were sharing, hoping that the girl in front of my eyes was also feeling the same way. Well, now that our stomachs are satisfied, we want to start rehearsing? After our little food break, we returned to our main purpose for being here. I was thinking about what it was that Fal said was bothering her, but the only thing I could do right now was make my utmost to make it the best performance ever. I set up my fortelli in his position and I finished my preparations as fast as possible. I'm good to go. For the time being, let's rehearse the same way we did earlier today. It's possible I was just imagining something I didn't sound right. I hope that's the case. Okay, let's begin. Taking her words as a signal, we began our rehearsal. My fingers didn't stop. I wasn't in bad form. I was playing well, but I felt something lacking, something emotional. It couldn't be put into words. When I was thinking about this kind of thing, unable to concentrate properly on my performance, Val stopped singing immediately and looked with an expression of concern. Sorry, something isn't right, isn't it? Maybe, yeah. Are you cool? I'm sure she was genuinely concerned about me, but more so, she must have been worried because the recital was the day after tomorrow. I'm okay, I think, as long as you are. I'm really sorry about this, especially to do so at a time like this. No, it's okay, as long as nothing is wrong. The recital is the only day that matters. Unable to say anything in response, I nodded. I rehearsed many times after this, and by the time I went to go home, it was in the middle of the night. We agreed to rehearse again tomorrow, and we went back to the entrance to her apartment. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow, sure. That thing from today might be different again after a good night's sleep. Okay, well, I'll be going then. Wait, what's up? Did anything happen to you recently? No, not particularly. Really? Val came closer to me as to inspect what was behind my eyes, and the distance between our faces became small. At a distance where I could feel her breath on the tip of my nose, she continued speaking. You can tell me if something happened, you know, just like when we discussed those things last time. Yeah, but I'm okay. I mean it, you know. I could not stop my cheeks from flushing. It was because I suddenly remembered what happened the other day in the practice room. I had the feeling that if I were to draw her closer to me now, she wouldn't resist. Noticing the change in me, she also went red and quickly slid back a step. Sorry. It's fine. Val grasped something lightly and made a face that said she had realized something, perhaps the answer to her own question. It started to feel a little awkward between us, and I didn't feel like I wanted to do anything further. I should probably head home. It's getting late. Sure. Do you mind if I ask one last thing? Yeah, go ahead. Do you feel happy? I think so. Her question was sudden, so I gave an ambiguous response, and then I corrected myself. No, I think I am. I see. But even then, Val looked away and shifted her gaze to the floor. Immediately after she raised her gaze, the only thing I could see on her face was her usual smile. However, what was on her face before, I have no idea. Comfortably tired was almost the right way to explain the fatigue. I dried my hair quickly and went straight to my bed. Forney had probably disappeared for the night, as she didn't even welcome me back or say goodnight. Uh-oh. When I woke up, I was surprised that I no longer felt tired. I felt refreshed because of the nap yesterday, which made me worry for a minute about Falsita. Realizing that it wasn't necessary to worry about her, I grimaced and checked the time. 9:40? I thought I still had time as Forney hadn't come to wake me. Forney? I called her name, but there was no response. I started thinking about silly things like whether fairies could oversleep, but I didn't have time for this. I quickly got ready and headed out. I'm heading out. Oh no! I didn't even need 10 minutes to get ready, so I was able to make it to school without running too much. I couldn't leisurely take my time, but I only needed to walk a little quicker than usual. Morning. Morning. We greeted each other and started our individual preparations. I placed my score down in front of position and I sat down, focusing my senses. Tomorrow's the big day. Yeah, that's right. About the details. There's a lot written on the campus bulletin board, but most of it doesn't apply. The whole of tomorrow is going to be used solely for Fortelli. I hadn't really thought about it till now, but the Fortelli recitals were on Friday, and the other courses were going to be held throughout the following week. I suppose Tortanita would be having her recital on one of the days next week. There were just over 200 students in each year level, but naturally some courses, such as the poetry course, never had a recital. Furthermore, every Fortelli player recital was one less vocal student performing, so in actuality there's probably going to be 30 pairs performing a day. We were able to partner up with other people than those from the vocal course, but some people, including myself, paired with someone from the school, so whatever, it worked out. When did we perform? Your name was listed at the start, so 1:30? We're first up in the afternoon. You didn't check? I was really busy practicing. Can we leave it at that? Anyways, the practice rooms are still open tomorrow, so let's meet at the same time and practice a little before the recital. Roger that. So what are we going to do today? Practice until we are satisfied. Just to confirm, but until which one of us is satisfied? Until we're both satisfied. Got it. Well, let's begin. Guys, I think the fairy is gone. Oh, I messed up after doing so well. That wasn't too bad. In fact, I'd argue it was good. We finished playing, and without sharing any feedback, she casually asked me a question. Do you want to keep practicing? Oh, we could stop. Nah, I think we've done enough today. It seems that we had been rehearsing so intently we had lost track about how much time had really passed. Deciding it would be no good to tire myself out before any time tomorrow, I removed my hands from the keys to the Fortelli. You're probably right. Our performance was shaping up well. We practically made no more careless mistakes, and our interpretation and tempo for the song was completely balanced between the two. Let's call it a day. She must have been tired as she spoke with a weary look. Are you tired? Are you okay? A little, yes, but I'm okay. She started packing up as we spoke. It wouldn't be fair to make her late, so I started preparing to head home. We both finished packing up, and I spoke to her just before we left the practice room. Why don't I walk you home today? I was just a little worried about you. Worried? Aren't you a bit tired from having work? Sure you're good? Thanks, I'm a bit tired, but before I go home, I need to drop by somewhere first. You're not gonna help someone, are you? Never. Anyways, why don't you come over later? Don't you have somewhere else to drop by? Yes, but after that, I want to have a chat with you for a bit. Chat? About tomorrow and things after. That's a good idea, of course, as long as you don't mind. Okay, here's the key to my place. Oh, shoot. Are you sure? I trust you, but don't look around. I won't. Dig through her stuff, Chris. Taking her key, Val and I parted ways. It seemed that the place she had to drop by was somewhere in the school. Hoping that she truly hadn't been asked to do something for someone, I watched her leave, and then I headed over to her house. Well, here I am. Speaking to no one, I entered her apartment. It wasn't as if this wasn't the first time I came here, but doing so by myself made me feel kind of nervous. It's not every day that you go into a girl's apartment by yourself. And she wanted to talk about something? Things after that? Thinking about what that could mean, I made my heart beat faster. Understanding full well that it would be rude to look around, my eyes found themselves looking here and the things just around me. Her place as bare as I thought. My first impression was like that too, and upon looking around her room with no one else in it, I got the impression stronger. I totally forgot about the atmosphere of her room when she was close by or when I could see her cooking. Pondering these thoughts, I ended up wandering around her room for no particular reason. I probably should have just sat and still waited, but for some reason I was restless. What's that? A messy pile of paper stood in my field of vision. Purely out of interest, despite being fully aware it wasn't a good thing to do, I took a peek. It's a notification. After looking at them long enough to understand this much, I realized that they weren't in Val's handwriting. Quite frankly, their handwriting was far beyond neat. I guess someone asked her to rewrite all of this. Oh, they always do. Thinking that I might be able to help her with her writing, I picked up one of the papers and checked it. After reading a little bit, I could tell it was like a thesis or homework. It was submitted a long time ago, and it was a personal interpretation of a certain part of music history. Once I read further, something was strange. There was musical symbols written here and there, but the lettering was beautifully done. It was almost a completely different person. I felt like I had seen those musical symbols before, and I felt like it wasn't too long ago that I saw them. This is Falsita's handwriting. Only the symbols and words in music were written extremely well. The rest of them were shaky and seemed as if they weren't even written by the same person. Coming to a sudden realization and knowing that I shouldn't be doing this, I picked up another bundle. There was nothing written on the first few pages, but the pages that were after were the same words repeated over and over. It was just like what I did when I first started to learn to read and write. The same words and phrases were being practiced repetitively in carefully written, clumsy handwriting. Is this her handwriting? But now that I thought about it, she mentioned when I was writing her documents that she didn't like it. I didn't think of it anymore as a joke. Did the shackles of being an orphan still have an influence now? The handwriting was painful to look at, but the closer to the top it got, the better the writing became, indicating that they were perhaps more recent. The writer had now reached a level that was still hard to praise, as I felt something was still off. These had been written by Val. She's really working hard on writing. That's the only thing I can say right now. It wasn't simply because she was talented that she had the capabilities or that people trusted her. She had a slow start, and despite this continued efforts to make her efforts to prove, she formed the person she is today. I returned the bundles of paper and sat down again. I wonder how I should express the feelings that welled up inside me. Adorable may not have been quite the right word. Again, I couldn't help think to myself whether there was anything I could do. What could I even do? She spoke of how she wanted to become a professional musician that night, alone on the empty recital stage. She said she wanted to make a living out of singing. Right now, is that what I could do? What I could do was go up on stage with her tomorrow and give the best performance I could ever give. Nothing more, nothing less. I'm home. Chris, are you there? I'm in here. I didn't respond in a very big voice, so it seemed that Val didn't hear me, as she noticed as she came inside. You're here. Good, I'm back. Welcome home. I turned and greeted her kindly. Are you hungry? Should I make something? No, it's okay. You must be tired. I'm asking whether you're hungry or not. I am. Good. Okay, it won't take too long. Gazing at her silhouette from behind, the lifeless room suddenly felt like it was now alive. We enjoyed our pleasant meal and sat around chatting while having some warm drinks. Val changed out of her uniform and was wearing her room clothes. However, I felt that Val had not branched the topic she wanted to talk about. And just when I was starting to feel okay, Val turned around and gazed at the clock on the wall. Exhaling a deep breath, she stood up, and then she walked to the window and stared at the rain. Without turning away from the window, she asked me, "What do you think of me?" The question was so sudden I didn't even know how to answer. But I was sure I could give her the answer she desired. Have you thought I'm a horrible person? Huh? Before I could give any kind of answer, she repeated again. I've never thought of you in that way, Falsita. Really? Really. But I really am being horrible. Is it hard to believe? It is. I thought as much. Saying only this, Falsita removed her gaze from the window and looked straight at me. What's going on? Why do you suddenly start saying these things? It's nothing. Do you mind if I sit over there? Again, suddenly and without warning, she said this and came over to sit next to me without waiting for an answer. Hey, Chris. Yeah? Her face was suddenly close to mine. Do you love me? She finally said it, the question I had been expecting. Deep down in my heart, I knew the answer. All I had to do was put it into words. I love you. Thank you. Thank you! Saying this, she closed her eyes. I knew what I had to do. It wasn't as if it was my first time, but my lips were dry from extreme nervousness, so I moistened them and I kissed her. Oh shoot. It's happening! Our lips met for a brief moment. Between my shyness and more so the adoration I had for her, I almost couldn't help myself from hugging her. When I was thinking that this was actually the right time to wrap my arms around her, she took the initiative and hugged me first. Kiss me again. Oh no! Oh no! And with her arms wrapped around me, our lips went once more. Oh! I felt like I heard a voice! Okay. It's Asano. Val disentangled herself from me and shifted her gaze to Asano. What is this? What? I also shifted my gaze and realized it was Asano, but I didn't understand why he was here. Everything was beyond my comprehension and all I could do was sit there stunned. You said I'd understand everything when I got here? This is what you meant? I'm sorry, but this is exactly what I meant. Tell me what's going on? What is there to explain? It's Chris that I love, that's why I asked him to be my partner and not you. I could have just used words, but I thought this would be easier to make you understand. What is going on? What did she mean? My eyes darted between the two of them, but none of them looked at me? What is going on? Shut up, just shut up. Could you not raise your voice? I'm sorry, but I was using you? Using me? The only reason I got close to you is because I wanted to know more about Chris, but I'm thankful to you in that regard. Deep breath taken. She was based. Falsita said deleted this. She's so based. Good lord. This is... If only PK were here. Falsita reached out towards me and gently caressed my cheek. The movement was seductive. I felt a shiver run throughout my body. I distanced myself away from her who was smiling and I kind of pushed her hand away. Falsita. Why, Chris? Why does everyone choose him? Miss Cordell chose you. Even you now, Falsita. Surely everyone has their own individual reasons for liking him. I'm nobility, and you're saying that I'm inferior to Chris? Didn't I tell you I hated that kind of thinking from you? I'm different. I'm not like other people. She's laughing! And what makes you different? Can you even tell me why you're different? Did you hear that, Chris? He thinks he's different. Nobility or not, he's saying that he's better than you, Chris. Wait, could someone, please, just answer, what's going on? I never said anything like that, Falsita. Oh, how strange. I'm quite sure that's what you just said. No, that's not. Why? Why, Chris? You were just trying to use him too, weren't you? Using me, Asano? No, we're friends. We still are. Didn't you say to me that you kept him as a friend because you were using him? That was not what you meant, I'm guessing. If you were gonna do this world-weary, lovable cynic routine, perhaps you shouldn't have done this to me in the first place. But the reason you're so pathetic is that's the only way you can maintain your cheap pride. The look on Asano's face was a hurt child. I slumped against the wall, the strength gone from my body. I couldn't say anything. This had to be an act. If I screamed, maybe they would start laughing. They would tell me it was a prank on me. This is a joke, right? I'm sorry, Chris. This is the truth. This is all of it. No, you have to be lying. Now that you know this so-called friend of yours is a horrible person, congratulations. Aren't you happy you discovered the truth? No, Chris, please, you can't believe it. It's not like that. Please, someone just explain to me what's going on. I stood up and I walked towards Asano. He flinched, almost afraid, and he looked at me. I didn't mean to. That's not what I want to hear. This is a joke. You and Fowler are playing a prank, right? Asano didn't say anything. He shook his head. Why would you pull such an elaborate prank? That has to be it. Like I said, there is no prank in this. You need to understand. All of it is true. You probably don't want to believe it, but I'm a horrible person. So is Asano. Plain and simple. Fowl admonished me as if she was telling me about the ways of the world. The way she spoke was kind. I was repulsed. And as much as I didn't want to believe, I was starting to see that it was all true. A few moments ago, I could have never imagined I would feel anything like this towards her. I had kissed her, I held her, I told her I loved her. But now she seemed like a completely different person. You were deceiving me? That's right. And Asano too was deceiving me? Yep. And I used him. He proved most useful too, but it seems he got the wrong idea at some point. If only he had known when to walk away, all of us could be friends together. Why are you saying these things? I don't understand. I told you, I'm a horrible person. As I was about to respond, I heard the sound of something being dragged against the wall behind me. Asano was using the wall to support himself as he stood up. I'm leaving. Wait, no, we can't be finished here. Stay away, just leave me alone. What do you mean you're sorry? She's right, I was using you. I don't care about that. You were being used by her too, right? I care, Chris, and I'm sorry. Just leave me alone now. Asano, thanks for what you just said, though. After that, he left. What is going on? My body felt numb. It happened suddenly and everything around me was falling apart. I could barely breathe as I sat there being tortured by the endless questions that filled my mind. And if I could just turn around, a lot of my answers could be in front of me, but I was unable to do so. Chris? From behind me, she called my name gently. I gathered what little strength that was left in my body and forced myself to turn around and face her. I'm sorry. I'm sorry this had to happen so suddenly. Why did you do this? It was just as Asano said. I approached him and used him. I could get closer to you that way. But why me? Because I was in love with you. She's based! You're lying. That is the truth. That's why I looked into you. That's why we're here now. What do you mean looked into me? What did you even have to do that? Why? Because that was the only approach I could think of. You're lying. If that were the case, you wouldn't tell me this like this. You would have just kept quiet. I can't tell what's true and what's lies anymore. I said nothing but the truth. I just wanted you to see the true me, my real personhood. And the true you is someone who's horrible? Oh, dude, she's base. Come on. You could have just told me. There was no reason for you to hurt him like that. I did use words. You just didn't hear them. How do you expect me to believe something like that? She was diligent, gentle, dedicated. And, see? That's exactly why I needed to do something to make you understand. There was no need to do any of this, Falsita. There was for me. Hey, so what do you now think of me? I wanted you to know who I am, that I'm a person who could do horrible things. But why do you want me to know that? Because I wanted you to say that you loved me despite everything. That's how she felt? Even if that's really how she felt, I didn't have the confidence to say that I could still love her. It was so hard to believe. There was a part of me that was still praying that this was still some sort of prank. There was still time. If she would just laugh and say it was all a big joke, everything would resolve itself. Do you mind if I ask you one more time? This is just a joke. This is the truth. I'm sorry my answer isn't what you were hoping to hear. Why? Why me? If this is all true, then you must have been lying when you said you loved me too. I do love you though. Why? The way you play the Fortelli. The sound of how you play the fortelli has something beautiful that no one else has, something that no one could touch, imitate, recreate. From the very first time I heard you play, I knew you were the one. With you, I could aim for the top. With you, you could help me make my dreams come true. In the end, you were using me too then, weren't you? I suppose so. That is also the truth. She admitted it as if it were nothing. She kept going on. But isn't it natural for someone to use someone else to gain something? Yes, it is, Falsita. It very much is. The only reason that I go to this school is because the person who found me also wanted to use me, and I played their game. By doing so, my tuition was waived. I was able to find a cheap place. I also got the chance to learn to sing, and now I can use everything. I can gain everything to move up in this music world. And through that, the status of the person who recommended me also improves. It's a win-win. Isn't it not? This isn't right. Which part? The whole thing. But that's how I've lived my life this far, and that's how I intend to continue. And to do that, I need you. If that's the case, you chose the wrong way to go about it. I think so too. She shook her head in reflection and she admitted something honestly. Huh? Didn't I tell you earlier? That's why I wanted you to hear you say that you love me. Her expression determined. If only I could read what was in her mind. I was almost ready to believe her, which made me think such a thing. No, I had practically already started to believe her. If she was planning to lie about that too, she wouldn't have needed to call Asano here. The moment I came to realization, my heart hurted. Is that all just for this? And what about Asano? I suppose Fal was in it for more than just for this. That's why I'm telling the truth like this, because I want you to know what kind of person I am, and I want us to be together no matter what. I'll ask you one more time, will you stay with me? She slid over next to me, her face close to mine. Do you love me? Yes! I couldn't answer her, even though it was the same exact question from before. You still have your feelings for me changed? No! Again, I answered with silence. I still needed time to understand. There is no way I could process my feelings yet. Not going to answer. I don't like being used. Then, you should use me too? But I don't have desires to use you. Not at all? No. You said you loved me before, didn't you? Those feelings now disappeared? I guess there's still hope if you have a hard time answering. Saying this, she removed the outerwear she was wearing. She was now only wearing a shirt of very thin material, and her now revealed skin was etched into my mind. I looked away immediately. Stop. I won't. She moved even closer and whispered into my ear. Why don't you use me? I said that I love you, and a moment ago you were about... Holy hell! The depression meter! The depression meter! It's maxed! It is breaking the screen! The depression meter is breaking the screen! Oh my god! The depression meter is breaking the screen. Why don't you just use me? I said that I love you, and until a moment ago, you were going to say the same about me too. Shut up, I don't want to be used, and I'm not going to use you either. Everyone does it, don't you know? I do it, you do it. Her arm slid around my shoulder. Oh, this is the bad ending. We're going to do the bad ending first. The bad ending is, that's enough. That's enough. Please, just don't say any more. I see. She picked up her clothes that had fallen to the floor, and in the corner of my eye, she was getting changed. A few minutes after she was clothed again, she said one last thing. Could you still find a way to do your recital with me tomorrow? My registration as your partner has been finalized, so it's too late for me to perform on the days allocated. I would have some more flexibility if I won a third of your voice here, mind you. Alright. Right now, that was the only response I could give. Thank you. Oh my god, the rain. I walked home through the dark streets. I wanted to just crawl into bed. The rain had become heavier and my body cold. I didn't have the energy to run, so I walked home as fast as my legs could even carry me. I'm home. I called out those words I always did, but the answer never came. The towel that would normally be waiting for me wasn't there, so I ended up having to drag my cold body inside to get one. Forney? It was just after 9 o'clock, which I felt was a little early for Forney to have already disappeared for the day. I considered that it might not be so strange, but then I realized I hadn't seen her since yesterday. Feeling uneasy, I did a quick search around my apartment, and upon doing so, a single piece of paper on my desk. It was one word: goodbye. written in messy handwriting. Dumped there right next to the note was a pen. Okay. What did she want to say with the curt one-word message? Dumbfounded, I felt apathetic, but then I suddenly indulged the impulse to scrunch the paper up. My emotions rose and fell. I had to become calm again. And then, I carefully unfolded the piece of paper and flattened it out. I took the piece of paper and opened my drawer that was filled with many letters, and I placed it inside. How's our depression meter doing? Still maxed. It was still early when I opened my eyes. No one had woken me up. Perhaps I'd awakened subconsciously because it was an important day. Morning. There was no answer. My voice simply dissolved into thin air. Grudgingly, I got out of bed and looked at the clock. I'm sure we'd agreed yesterday to practice at 10, but I didn't want to. Then again, I couldn't go out without doing so, so I still grabbed myself over to the floor. I sat down. When I played the beginning, I felt as if Forney was beside me, but no matter how many times I looked back, straining my ears, there was no sign, as if such a fairy had never existed in the first place. I got up almost involuntarily. Opened the drawer and read Forney's letter again. It was just one sentence. I needed to reassure myself of her existence. I sat down in front of the fortelli and placed my fingers on the keyboard. Confirming Forney's tracks must have calmed me down as my fingers moved smoothly. It was so far off what I needed to do at the time that I didn't care. With the thought that this was the last time I played this song, I played it with all my heart, up to the last note. I listened with my whole body, determined not to forget those lingering tones, and I headed for the shower. After showering and then putting on my uniform, I went out to find it raining harder than usual. I'd be soaked in no time. I headed to the school and sped between walking and running. I was going to fulfill my last promise. I didn't want to think about what came after that. After having to return to my hometown about no longer being a student, having to work for a living, I didn't have the capacity for that. All I could think about was how much I wanted this day to end, and I wanted it to end quickly. After passing through the gates, I noticed someone standing in the concert hall. Having nothing else to do, I rushed over. Morning, or should I say good afternoon. Didn't I tell you yesterday about practice? I played the flotelli this morning. Whatever. There's a 1-hour break from the program, and I'd really like to practice together at least once, but it's probably not going to happen. I'd prefer not to. The rules say we have to be at the stage 15 minutes beforehand, so let's head to the concert hall. Alright. What about the rain? You're cold? When you're this wet, you're bound to feel a little cold. Come here. No. I brushed her hand aside as she reached for mine without much force, just to show enough how I felt. So be it. So all I have to do is be in front of the stage within 15 minutes, right? Yep. Okay, I'll find some way to pass the time, as you wish. She spoke evenly with her unchanging expression. That was almost a smile. And then, as if intended to practice, I entered the second hall without turning back. Was I the bad guy for not giving in to her, or was she in the wrong, having forced things to become this state? I didn't think I had an answer to that. Our performance was a complete non-event. There was some applause. It was not bad, it wasn't good. My fingers moved perfectly, thanks to all that practice, and her singing was perfect, but that was all. Thank you. Don't mention it. This is goodbye. Yeah. That's rather cold of you. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. I don't think we'll meet again. So long. So long. With that, she walked off. I watched her head for the school hall, and then I followed behind her. We were going in the same directions, but our paths had already diverged. She would continue along her path. I had to find her. Oh, listen to that rain. What a happy ending. Now to go back to the big decision. Shut up. I let my anger take over and I slapped away her arm. No. No. Twitch, don't ban me! I'm sorry. I apologized for reflex, but stopped immediately and looked away. The bed creaked a number of times and soon the sound died down. My heart was pumping, my ears hurt despite the silence. After becoming attuned to the silence, I started to hear the sound of her breathing. She was in the corner of my eye and I was unable to push her out. She lay on the bed and she stared into my eyes. The look in her eyes seemed like it was pity and disdain, and at the same time, that looked like a cry for help. You don't feel anything for me anymore? I'm ready, you know. Her voice sounded twisted. Or perhaps it was simply that the world had become twisted. I felt like nothing mattered, and then she spoke one last time. And that's because I'm in love with you. You're mad. What happened after that was all a blur. I never imagined that I could feel such rage. It wasn't pure rage, but frustration, profound sadness. I was almost in tears and so was Val, so I did as I pleased with her. Oh, good God! Okay. What's that quote? I'm so happy. This seems to be the start of a very toxic relationship. This hurts to read, you guys. This hurts to read. Ah! My big sad meter is... Despite my memory being foggy, there were fragments. The sensation of her body and her scent burned strongly into my memory. Can we talk a little? Oh God, this is hurting to read. Ah! I sat on the edge of her bed. I lifelessly stared at the floor. I was unable to even nod in response, and I simply sat in silence. In the end, people can't make it on their own. Not me, not you. Everyone uses each other. You're wrong. I'm just saying this the way it's worded, but all we're doing is the same. Most people don't see the world the way you do. Then how do they see it? As helping each other. People respect each other, thank each other, and do things because they want to. The words I spoke were idealistic, and I wasn't even sure if I believed them, but they were the only words I had to counter them. Helping each other? I say it's the same thing. Besides, even though I show respect to people, although I can't say I've ever felt genuinely thankful towards anyone, I wondered if that was actually true. If having relationships with people, no, if having someone do someone for you nothing other than using them, then Val was right. I want to be happy. She said these words in a moment, unexpectedly. I lived my whole life singing. When I was a child, I sang on the streets and I survived off the money people gave me for it. Even when I no longer needed to sing to survive after being put in an orphanage, I continued singing. But that doesn't mean that singing was just a means to an end. It has always been my dream. I love singing. I could only imagine how happy I would be to make it my life's work. I spared no effort other in order to achieve that. Always practicing, always making an effort to avoid conflict with people, always accepting people's requests. I was aware of all of this. She was always strict on herself and never shows complacency. The dream she once told me of, the values she spoke of now, all of these things she's meant to live for. All of these things so I can make my life singing. And you needed me to do this? I need you. I was unable to give an answer. My emotions that suddenly rolled up had cooled off, and because of that I had lost the will to make any decision. His emotions hasn't disappeared, they still linger deep inside me, similar. Could I ask one thing of you? Okay. Could you still find a way to do the recital with me tomorrow? My registration as your partner has been finalized, so it's too late for me to perform on the days allocated. I would have some more flexibility while we've gotten all this done. I'll repeat your question without answering mine. Alright, I promise. Thank you. Now the first question I asked you, you don't need to answer it yet. Why is that? It seems like you're still unsure, and sometimes giving an answer immediately isn't always the best course of action. Why don't we talk about it once the recital is behind us? We can do that. Thank you. I walked home through a dark street. We got this. There's a button that you could press that I'm depressed. Allows you to... There, skip through red text. That's what I was looking for. Esmeralda, we don't need your input right now. That is vile. I'm about to take a deep breath. Who was truly more NTR'd, Arietta or me? Oh, God, good God. Holy hell. Although it was lunchtime, there was no one around. Val must have picked up the first hall on purpose, figuring that most students would be on their way to the cafeteria. The hallway was deserted, which made me feel colder. Lower your head. Even before she'd finished her sentence, she forced me down and began wiping her hair with the towel. If you get sick, I'm the one who suffers. Wrapped in the towel's warmth and the sweet cell soap, I felt relaxed. I was almost as if I'd found a small part of the happiness I'd lost. What about your hands? Can't have them freeze up. This time she took into my hands hers and rubbed them together. They're cold. My palms grew warm between her hands, proving once more that blood ran through my veins. Which was incredibly obvious, but then I remembered how Val had said such cool things yesterday and it felt so incongruous. I opened my mouth thinking that I needed to say something, but she sensed someone walking towards us and motioned for silence. Quiet. The footsteps grew louder and I saw who it was. Grave. New character. Good morning? You're performing today? Yes, I'll be performing with Chris here from the Foselli. Alright, I have high hopes for you. Thanks. He walked away. Val smiled as he left and returned with the same expression. That nobleman's my benefactor. That's the one who took me in. You dislike him? Yes, and I dislike his daughter too. His daughter? Her daughter. That doesn't matter. With scorn in her voice, she looked off in the distance. She held a necklace in her hand and kept rubbing the surface. I felt I'd seen that gesture before, and maybe it was a habit of hers. Alright, it's almost time. Before I asked, Falsita looked at the clock and got up. The side of the stage was quiet, perhaps because it was still lunchtime. Having been instructed to do so by the student in charge, I silently set up my fortelli. Meanwhile, Fal's eyes never once left her score, and saying like that comforted me. Are you both ready? Miss Cordell, who didn't know anything, called us from behind. Yep, preparations are complete. And you, Chris? I have no idea who his daughter is. Yes. Is something the matter? I think he's just a little nervous, isn't that right? As always, her smile was perfect. It was natural. It didn't seem possible that she could be disparaging of others. Yeah. The comfort I felt earlier vanished instantly. This was indeed the same Falsita from yesterday. Chris, Falsita? The buzzer will be off any second now. Val dragged me by my hand to the edge of the stage as she wanted to separate me from my teacher. It's almost time. Lacking the strength to pull free, I merely nodded. Right then, the sound of the buzzer filled the hall and the chatter stopped. Let's go. Oh, you think it's Lee? It could be Lise. I walked on stage, but it felt like something happened far away. Stopping at my spot, I placed my fingers on the keyboard. Val turned to me, searching for my gaze in order to synchronize the breathing. That image blurred into another girl, speaking of her dream to sing on... Oh, good God. I for real might shed a tear. Then I realized that our breathing was in sync and our preparations were complete. My fingers started to play the notes they'd rehearsed over and over again. Just let me fail the song. By the time I noticed the performance was over and it was showered with thunderous applause. During the performance, many things had been on my mind. Fal, Forney, Arietta, Tordanita, Asino, Cordell. My fingers, almost independently, had given a flawless performance. Through the Fortelli, I had put conflicting emotions on display. Sadness, anger, confusion. Even some of Fal's emotions had become mixed up inside. There was no confusion in her. There was only a girl's simple desire for happiness. Chris. Amid the endless applause, she said my name in a soft voice. I was brought back to reality, whereupon I took a bow with her and we walked down off the stage together. Miss Cordell and two other people were waiting for us below. Before I realized it, Torda and Asino appeared, albeit our usual practice room. Just as the others drew near, Fal whispered something in my ear and left. Torda and Miss Cordell praised our performance, the former with her usual smile and the latter with an uncharacteristic one. They found it moving, like nothing they'd ever heard before. As for Asino, he waved and then disappeared. Briefly thanking Tordanita and the others for their kind words, I took my leave. I stood in front of the practice room and I sighed deeply. I hadn't made up my mind yet. There was no point standing here like this, so I opened up the door with conviction. There she was. She seemed calm, as if we were about to chat. That was fast. I thought you'd talk to them a while longer. I was more interested in talking to you. Is that so? Should I get my hopes up? I had no answer, and my silence made her snicker. Let's go somewhere else. This room is hardly ideal. Anywhere's fine with me. Then let's go. Fal sounded upbeat as she headed outside. I sensed where this was heading, but I had no choice but to follow her. The rain had lightened a little. Yeah, the meter has gone down a little bit. Fal seemed to be weaving in and out of the rain as she stopped in one part of the avenue. We stood under a large tree with overlapping leaves and she the rest of the way. That's where she started to speak again. And so this is the end. Now will you give me an honest answer? I was shocked by her abruptness. I like you. I find myself entranced with the signage of Martelli. I feel like I can go even further. That's why I did all those things to make you like me, some of which were terrible and hurtful, but I wanted to. I should have just kept it hidden, but I couldn't. I wanted you to see the real me. Beyond that, I wanted you to come with me. I'll say it once more, come with me. It was surprisingly genuine. This was her true self, the girl beneath the veneer of lies. Without any attempt to repair her image, without showing any remorse for the misdeeds, all she wanted was me. For that reason, I had to answer sincerely. There's two bad endings. Let's go ahead and do the That's Impossible one. Sorry, I'm afraid that's not possible. That's how I truly felt. After much thought, I arrived at that answer. I'd never been confused up until this moment, but now that I knew I could never go with her. A relationship built upon using and being used by others. I found that utterly depressing. I just can't understand you. But I'm not criticizing you. You'll go forward your own way, you'll be fine without me. She didn't say anything else, she nodded. You're bound to be happier this way, I could see that now. With that, she walked off. This disconnected conversation was the last time we ever spoke together. I watched her head to the school hall and I followed behind her. It's the same exact ending sequence. And I'll go with you. Alright, as I answered, I felt my mind cloud over just as if I had a fever. She was unsightly and that was beautiful. Really? She sounded fearful. Had a show of confidence but nothing but an act in the beginning? Really? I see. I heard her speak those words, and then all at once I remembered her singing voice and the emotions in its stillness. Perhaps it was okay to be used by her? She trusted no one and showed no gratitude. She only sang. She had no qualms about the sea and anyone she needed to get away. If there were anyone else in her ideal vision of the future, it could only be someone who she could use for the rest of her life. That someone was me. I was also entranced by her fairness, her beauty, and her closeness. What's wrong? Do you accept? Yes, if others judge you, I'll stand by your side. Val, my name, by your side. We shared a brief, silent embrace. What do we do now? Whatever you want. I have nowhere to get back to. The shelter? I don't want to see that place ever again. It reminds me of my most hateful self. I see. You want to come with me to my hometown? Would we live there? Not necessarily. Anywhere is fine, but somewhere after we return to, at least some time. After the graduation ceremony, maybe I can go with you. I recall with great fondness the faraway streets of my hometown. I wouldn't see Arietta. I'd only heard her. If I did, when I got back, I'd write a letter to end it all, while wishing that some way Arietta would be able to read it. What's your hometown like? It's doing really well, but it's not nearly as beautiful as Kyoto. It's still rural. I think that's much better than a city that flourished as a status for nobility. Although I did like the old district, there wasn't even a hint of a smile. She hadn't been smiling much recently. She didn't have to force anymore. She didn't need to hold her near flawless social skills around me. I felt genuinely happy about that. Besides, it wasn't like she'd stopped smiling altogether. She smiled normally whenever she felt happy. The point it was natural now. That was her true self, which only I knew. So what are we gonna do? What to do indeed? We talked about the future many times, but we still didn't have an answer. That was because wasn't because we had a lack of options, though. Our graduation recital had received extraordinary praise. A few days later, when we went to the school for ceremony, we had many awards. For the moment, our future looked bright, and it seemed like she'd be able to fulfill her dream. Most importantly, no matter which path we chose, we'd never be apart, as long as she needed me, as long as she loved me. I, too, was able to pledge my heartfelt love for this girl. Jiff, you've missed an emotional roller coaster that I've gone through. Jiff, you've missed a night. If you're not busy and, you know, you'd be interested, I really recommend going and giving tonight's stream a view when I upload it, or look on the archive. Ugh. I too was able to pledge my heartfelt love for this girl. That's why I was by Falsita's side and just wanted to be happy. Something on your mind? Yeah, I was just thinking about you, weirdo. With that, she also looked out the window. The train had just left the station. Didn't even reach the mountains that encircled the city of Kyoto. On the other side of the incredibly long tunnel that ran through the mountains, it probably would not be raining. It would be my first time seeing blue skies in 3 years. While imagining that moment, I gave myself up to moving to the train, and I felt unhurried through the passage of time. We've entered the tunnel. Our destination's about half a day away, though. That's far, yeah. I wondered how far the journey had seemed to me back then. Even so, Arietta did come to see me a few times, didn't she? When we come out of this tunnel, nothing. Still a long way to go, right? Yeah, it's pretty long. Yeah. She nodded somewhat uncertainly and brought her hand to her chest. I'd seen that gesture many times before. A kind of habit? Hey, what is it? Is that a habit? What do you mean? That pendant, you touch it sometimes. Does it mean something special? I do have a habit, and yeah, I guess it is a special pendant. Something important? You could say that. This is the only thing I've had from the beginning. Only thing. When I was left in the shelter, this pendant was the only thing on me. A simple pendant and dirty towel, nothing else. Not even a name. It's made to look like a pair of wings. Perhaps the person that left it with me wanted me to fly high. She didn't have the notion of parents. During her childhood in the shelter, Val had only had herself. The people running the shelter and children in similar circumstances. Yeah, his depression bar is dropping. It didn't seem like she found it upsetting, but she'd said many times before that she was never going to make it back to that place. When she went there at the start of the year, it had been under the instruction of the nobleman who adopted her. Of course, there's no way of ever knowing the truth. Falsita touched the pendant once again, a self-deprecating smile on her lips. Because she touched it so many times, perhaps that pair of dual grave wings were so grimy, it was hard to imagine its even original color. But these slightly tarnished wings kind of suit you. They're beautiful even. Asuna said that to me, even though it's gotten dirtier since then, because I kept touching it. I heard it was once bright silver. I see. But it's just some cheap trinket, so it became this color very quickly. The chain broke, and now it hangs on a leather cord. She sounded unimpressed, like she was still toying with it. It's pretty. The wings, and you too? Moron. With this, she finally let go of the wings. Did you talk to Asano after that? Only briefly, but he wasn't angry at me. Despite his fears, I'd never been angry with him either. So you guys made up? On the surface, yeah. Great. It irked me a little to hear her, because the cause of that episode speaks so casually, but that was the kind of person she was, and I'd accepted that. But nothing was said about you, and I doubt he would ever even be forgiven. I don't mind it, I deserve it after all. Hating me makes him feel better, than that's what you should do. Isn't it your loss to be hated by others? Not if someone worthy of that hatred is by my side. Such comments no longer made my heart race, but I knew that it was the truth, so I let it slide. Suddenly the train car was filled with light. It was so blinding I had to shut my eyes. But even so, I couldn't take my eyes outside, off the view. The sky, blue? Yes. It's been 3 years. Indeed it has. We'll be here for a little while, but I do feel a little better now. What about you? Aren't you moved? I was just on this train earlier this year. That's right, but for me it's been 3 years. I know. Val kept looking out the window, showing no interest in my reactions. I'd acted excited just like a little kid, and I felt a little embarrassed. Sorry. Val laughed finally and shook her head so as if it didn't matter. Then she suddenly said something I hadn't even thought about. Chris, when we get there, are you going to see Arietta? What for? I think you should probably talk to her. Oh, good God. What for? If you don't, we probably can't go further. I've been thinking about it all along. I know you still care about her. I don't deny that, but I'm with you now. I know, but I want to start my life with you after everything has been settled. Or is that too much to ask? Then you'll do it? I swore I would do whatever I could for her, and so I gave my word. I'm sorry. What are you apologizing for? It's okay, I'll do it. And in return, Falsita took off the necklace and broke the wings into two. She gave me one of them. These are my wings. With them I'll fly high, and this wing I'm placing in your care. I can't fly with one, but the two of us can go anywhere we want to. Thanks. I took it and squeezed it gently. The wing was a little dirty, but it definitely hadn't lost its beauty. Holding the wing with which I supported her, I tried to imagine our future together. Will you stay by my side always? Of course. I will stay by yours too, forever. Huh? There's no... Fly me to the moon and let me dance among the stars. There's no conclusion with Arietta? Ugh. My head hurts. So guys, what did you think of the route? song's kind of jiggy. There's an epilogue. We were back in the City of Rain. Over and over again, the sound of my fortelli was offered up in her service. I sensed her standing behind me, and I heard her voice next to my ear. That was the constant scene in the room in which we shared. Chris, I'll stay by your side forever. The tarnished wings made a dual sound when they knocked together. Where would we go on with these wings? Where could we go? Almost immediately, the sound was erased by the fortelli, and then her voice was laid over it all. I focused on the keyboard, pouring all of my rising emotion to the music. Even after her song ended, she didn't move. I love you. You and the sound of your fortelli. I'll stay by your side forever. Whispering this into my ear, she gave me a satisfied smile. We're continuing. I promise we're continuing. It's just I don't have much to say right now. I don't have much to say. That was hard to read at the end. That was the ultimate downhill spiral if I've ever seen one. I really... PK, are you kidding? Yes, Esmeralda, the final route is Alfine Symphonic Rain. That's the canon route. This is just side routes, Esmeralda. The canon route, he stays with Arietta. Yeah, the actual canon grand finale, the actual canon route is with Arietta. Yeah, this is just side stuff. This was just stuff thrown in for sake of character development. PK, you could not have come in at a worse time. You've missed absolute Tims at local tonight. I'm not going to say anything, chat. I'd almost prefer you not to go ahead and say anything. All I'm going to say is this, man. I'm going to upload this. You can look on the stream archive itself. Watch tonight's stream. I'll go ahead and I'll link you to where you should go ahead and start watching it to. Tonight's stream was probably the most ridiculous stream I think I've ever done. Like, I have a wave of emotions right now, man. I'll link you. That's all I'll have to say. Okay, let us begin Lacelsia's route. I need to get out of my headspace. Oh, PK, here, I'll give you a little bit of foreshadowing. I'll give you a little bit of foreshadowing, PK. PK, here's my foreshadowing for tonight's stream. Look at that meter. This is my foreshadowing for you that you're gonna be in for a ride. Look at that meter. It's looking a little full, isn't it? Back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. We explain carefully, and then we also skip all texts that we've read. Autoplay should work. This is... I want to make sure that this is control always, right? Control always skips. That button there should be skip red text. That little fast forward button. We're gonna go ahead and go slot 7. We have like 30 slots. And we will begin the La Celsia route. Let's go ahead and speed. At least we get this banger right now. Oh! No, we don't. Oh, good goodness. And we're gonna go to the old wing. We've seen this already. She's gonna sing her song. There's gonna be a CG. Oh, this is new. I told her everything, and she know that I didn't play my Fortelli. I was looking for a partner, then I met someone in the old music room, and I heard that beautiful song. I started with that. Wow, that's rare. I guess. Not that. I mean, the fact that you talked to her first. Yeah, I guess so. Usually you just ignore that kind of thing. I'm not that cold. You like her. I corrected Forney's words a little. No, I was intrigued by her song. By what? The song, her voice. I only heard it once, but that song was still in my head. That and her voice ringing out in the silence, and because she was kind of like Arietta. I added it like that just to make it into a joke. But Forney was a little better, and she turned it back on me. You really like the quiet ones, don't you? Forney could use words like a blunt weapon sometimes. She was like Ari, but I didn't even know, honestly, to whether or not that was my preference. That's besides the point. Are you planning on making that girl your partner? No, that wasn't my plan. We haven't even played together. Are you planning to play together? I was thinking that might be a good idea. I think Torta would still be your best option. That's too early to decide. Nothing good comes from rushing. That's true, but you're not rushing enough. There's still time, so I'm looking slowly. You just need to do it before you become an old man. Yeah, I'll figure it out in time. Telling Forney what happened during the day was already a daily routine. She didn't want to go outside, but she wanted to hear me talk about it. She could touch... Yeah, okay, we've gotten this. Practice rooms, and we're not going to practice a song. And then we're going to go to the Senecolo today. Oh, look who it is! Yay! And then classrooms. I guess a large portion of this VN has already been done. Oh, it's hard to read after everything that's happened tonight. I almost want to stop playing so I can hear this banger song. It's gonna be I Don't Believe. And then Not Today. And then we're gonna spam the old wing after that. And we're gonna go to the old wing. Alright, this is gonna lock us into the La Celsia route. I left Torta at the cafeteria and wandered about the campus. While I was doing so, I thought about the girl who called herself Lise. For first-year students that had regular classes would still have been in class. I knew that Lise wouldn't be in the old wing, but I ended up going there anyway. The leaves on the trees caught much of the rain, and I barely got wet on my way there. There was no way to hear her singing, even if I would have focused my hearing. But even then, I felt like going inside, so I decided on going in. The music rooms here were old, in some places scratched, and others even damaged. The building itself stood sturdy, and there seemed to be no particular need for concern. The only problem was probably that the acoustic conditions were not really up to scratch. Still, not many people came here, so it was unlikely it'd be too noisy. Well then, as I'd expected, Elise wasn't here. But in a sudden moment of impulse, I decided to set up my fratelli. Although I wasn't aware that it wasn't the time or place to be doing so, I'd already decided what song I would play. I didn't have the score on me, but it was in my head. It started off something like this. What is this? Is this... This is a Celsius song? But no lyrics? I haven't missed one yet. This is much easier. Oh, I missed one then. Oh That was it? Oh. Yeah, I know, but doesn't change anything. That route's still kind of ticking me off. I was able to play better than I thought. Since it was a song that played with great importance on the vocals, playing as I did now made me feel more like an accompaniment. After practicing, I heard a few sounds behind me. Huh? Hey, it's Licelsia. Hello, Lise. I wasn't exactly sure how I should speak to her, so for the first, I just spoke politely. However, she stood by the door and stared. At least it didn't seem like she was going to have to run away like last time, so I continued speaking a little bit more casually. You heard me playing, huh? It's my fault for leaving the door open. You could ignore me if you like. I was just teasing you. Oh. But how was it? I thought I played it, honestly, pretty fairly well. Um... She made a slightly perplexed face, and in the end, she didn't tell me what she thought. That song just now. Oh, I memorized it when I heard it the other day. I see. I really wasn't sure what I should talk about. I imagine it would have been a little different if we could have just gotten by with an ensemble. It was the same with Forney too, but music had the power to enrich people's hearts. For some, even in the case of a poor performance, there were things that could be felt and experienced through it. What would you like to sing? I made this suggestion to her casually. What? I shouldn't. Oh, that's too bad. I'm sorry. Don't worry about it. Anyways, I guess I'm in the way. I didn't mean to take your spot, but I kinda did, huh? I tried to be nice, so she apologized again. I was surprised at myself by how effortlessly the words came out. I can't speak effortlessly. I'd always disliked talking to new people, and yet here I was being kind. Perhaps it was more because she did seem to dislike talking to new people. Anyway, I don't wish to impose. I'll be going now. It was only by just a little, but I felt like I'd gotten closer to her. And despite the fact that it had nothing to do with my search for a recital partner, it made me happy. It seemed like it would be hard to rehearse with her, but I wondered if I would get the chance to do so before graduating. I opened up my Fratelli, and when I was prepared to pack up, she spoke to me. You don't need to be so polite. I'm only a first year. Oh, that's good to hear. I'm not very used to it anyway. I seized what I was doing, and I responded to her. That would be easier for me too. Okay. Did that mean she didn't mind if I spoke to her? Even if we couldn't do an ensemble, it was clear that she had opened up to me just a little. It might be worth trying to speak to her a little more. Are you going to be practicing here all day? I'm not here for practice. Singing? Yeah, I was just about to leave, I meant. If I'm really in the way, I'll just head off. Don't worry about me. No, you're not in the way. This place can be used by anyone. You're my senior, so there's no reason for you to leave. Senior? You're a third year, right? Yeah, that's right. I suppose she really was my junior in that sense. I barely spoke to the people in my course as it was, so naturally I didn't know anyone in the lower grades. I was just a little surprised when she suddenly referred to me as her senior. In that case, there's no need for you to go anywhere. That's true, but if the sound of my Fratelli is the problem, I'll just go to the next classroom. No, you don't have to. It's fine. You should practice your singing since you're here and all. I started packing up again and I put my Fratelli in its case. I heard Lee say something in a small voice a number of times as she was signing behind me, fidgeting nervously, but it didn't seem like she was going to leave. I closed the case on my Fratelli and slung it over my shoulder. Well, I hope to see you around. Okay. It seemed as if she had answered without thinking, so I guessed it wasn't going to happen today. Still, I had the feeling that we might be able to rehearse together. Thinking about if or when it might happen, I moved to the next classroom. Would you look at that? The next classroom was exactly the same. The nameplate in the hallway had Music Room B. It appeared that this floor of the old wing had 4 music rooms. The rooms were next to each other in a line. I had a feeling that I just understood why the new wing had been built. Well then. I had told Lisa that I was going to practice in the next room, but I felt hesitant to practice the same song. And just when I was considering leaving without doing anything, I heard a familiar voice. As if it were right in the corner of the classroom. The walls weren't particularly thick. Listening carefully, I almost felt like Lise was there. Without any words, I considered playing my Fratelli to the tune of her song, but I realized she'd probably panic. Even so, I suppose inexpensive was a nice way to put it. The building was definitely sturdy, but I could easily imagine the chaos that would occur if people were playing music in every room. But perhaps this was alright, I'd be able to hear her singing. I decided not to go home yet, and I sat myself in a nearby chair. My Fratelli was all set up for the time she'd finished singing. I wouldn't have felt right to play Lisa's song, so I started playing the song for me and I practiced. Playing the song just to pass the time, I didn't pay much attention to the other sounds around me. When I realized I'd been playing for a while, it was dark outside. I removed my fingers from the keys and stretched my arms above my head. When stretching like this, I twisted my torso to one side and my eyes met with Lisa's, who was half hiding behind the door I left open. Oh, you're finished? Yeah. It seemed like she had already packed up and was ready to go home, as she was holding her bag tight when she answered. I'm gonna head home now too. Have a nice night. Saying only this, she ran away. She'd probably never come back here, or she probably would come back here again. What course of action? There's no way I could ask her to partner up with me. I haven't even done an ensemble together with her. Even so, I started imagining this and about what could happen if we were to do one together. I still had over a month to choose a partner. It's not exactly a long time, but if it came to worse, Cordell would find someone for me. I wasn't going to mind if that's how things turned out. In fact, that may have suited me better. Going over all these things, I should have packed in my Fortelli, but in trying to increase the difference between myself and Torda, I was getting closer to someone else instead. The doubt was growing in my mind, but telling the same excuse that if it was for the sake of rehearsal, it was okay, I left the music room. By the time I realized it was almost night, I had grown used to seeing a starless sky. Blocking the falling rain with the palm of my hand, I wiped away the droplets. I held my Fortelli and went home. Yeah, this is a new route. This is the La Celsia route. And then we're going to go to the old wing. And I'm actually going to go ahead and... toward us the... Okay, I should probably note that before I go ahead and log out for tonight. The route order from this game is as follows. Okay, I can go ahead and try and explain this the best. The Falsita route, which is Falsita bad and then Falsita good. The La Celsia route, which is La Celsia bad and then La Celsia good. And then the normal bad, which you don't choose a partner. And then it's the Torda route, which has a bad and then a good. Once you unlock the Torda good and finish everything in the game, so you have to finish all 4 routes, including the normal bad, as well as the 3 goods, you unlock something called Alfine. Once you go ahead and do Alfine, you can go ahead and once you finish Alfine, which is you playing the whole entire game as Torda, I guess, you unlock Alfine's Symphonic Reign, which is the final ending. The Arietta route. So the Torda route we haven't done yet. And the reason why I skipped all that stuff is because we've already read it. So if I click this button here, it goes ahead and just skips all the stuff we've already read. Anyways, that'll do it for me tonight. With the emotional toll in my heart, I'm going to go ahead and end tonight's stream. We'll be back with more Symphonic Reign tomorrow. I hope you guys have enjoyed this fest. See you guys tomorrow morning for State of Play, and until then, have a nice night. Later.